Saturday live on Dublin's easy place to relax.
Sunshine 106.8. Sunshine 106.8.
Debbie, I'm delighted to have you back with us again. It feels like it's been ages since we last spoke with you, and yet it almost feels like it was yesterday as well, the way time is going. But I've been really, really looking forward to starting this journey with you and talking about, well, what we're going to be talking about. So we're going down through the energy centers of our body, the chakras, and you're going to explain to us as we continue on this journey what they're all about and how we can use them in order to live, I suppose, happier lives or more contented lives, or to get closer to ourselves, our true authentic self. So for anybody listening who may have heard of chakras but doesn't quite understand what it is that they are, could you just give us a brief overview first of all?
I will indeed, and thanks Carol for having me back on again. In very, very briefly, there are many chakra in the body. I will be speaking to you each time I do so in relation to the 7 main chakras. And chakra means, it's a Sanskrit word meaning wheel, and it refers to energy points in the body. And it governs not only our physical body, but the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels of the body. For example, today I'm going to be speaking to you about the base chakra or the root chakra at the very bottom of the spine. And that governs your ability to be centered, to be grounded in this world. Your pleasure and pain threshold are in this place, in this part of the body.
And I think, Debbie, for a lot of people, this will particularly resonate because, with everything that's been going on, so many of us feel like these days we're walking on quicksand and the last thing we feel is grounded, and our minds, our emotions are all over the place.
Each chakra is really important, but for me, this is a primary chakra. It's really important. If we are not grounded in our bodies, then everything above that is on unstable ground, as it were. And if you consider it, how often are we caught in our worries, in our fears? How often do we find ourselves going back into the past or worrying about what may or may not happen or what's happening around us? And when we are in that state of mind or in that space within ourselves, we're not grounded. And it can be very, very easy to become ungrounded. I mean, it's not something that most of us remain grounded all the time. We sometimes have to work or remind ourselves to come back into ourselves. It's so, so important. And I know I said this a moment ago, but for me, it's a foundation. It's a really, really important one to have. You're stronger, you're more stable, you're more secure, you're more balanced in yourself when you are grounded. People may question, how can I become grounded, or is it easy to become grounded? And really and truly, the part of the body that helps us to be plugged in, to be grounded into this world, is the base chakra. It's the area at the very bottom of your spine. And doing this very different ways and means that we can work on ourselves to ground ourselves. Some people will go barefoot. They'll go walking out their back garden. This is promoted. In your bare feet, go out onto the grass for a few minutes every day if you can, and just imagine roots going down into the earth and helping to stabilize and support you there. And what I recommend is doing a visualization. The area of the base chakra, its color is gorgeous red. And when we are balanced and in harmony with this part of our bodies, we will often visualize a beautiful red light. And that helps to bring us back into ourselves. So if you are aware that maybe at this time you're feeling a bit scattered, these are symptoms of being ungrounded, feeling a little bit scattered, feeling a little bit all over the place, a little bit worried, overly, excessively scared, feeling insecure, losing things. I always know I'm ungrounded when I've lost my car keys.
Because your concentration is gone.
Yeah,
you don't really have much concentration. Yeah,
absolutely. So if you're finding lately or at times during the day that you're feeling a little bit worried all the time, that you're finding it's difficult to get out of your head, that maybe you're excessively thinking about something or even feeling a bit spacey, these can be symptoms of being ungrounded. And as I mentioned, a very good exercise, if you can do so, is to get out in air. Go exercise is a very good way to ground yourself. Moving your body is a good way of getting yourself back into your body, as it were. Standing barefoot is a lovely way to be grounded. What else? I would work with that lovely visualizing a beautiful red color in the pelvic area of your body.
So do you just imagine like the color red and direct that color
Yeah.
into your pelvic area. Is that what you do?
Absolutely. You could imagine you have a little doorway at the very bottom of your spine, and you can imagine that door opening. And sometimes when you give yourself a few minutes to sit and just concentrate, you may have a feeling that it's really feelings nice here, or it feels you feel a bit uncomfortable. And this can often be a sign that maybe you're holding energy or emotions or an imbalance here. It's quite easy to bring yourself back into alignment. And one of those ways would be to visualize with each breath that you take, slow, big, beautiful breaths. You're breathing gorgeous, deep red light into this part of you. A favorite technique of mine, and one I would give to my classes, is bring your awareness to the very bottom of your spine. And you imagine beautiful, rich red roots of light growing from the very bottom of your spine or from your tummy area, right down your legs, right down into the earth. And they're helping to anchor, they're helping to ground, they're helping to stabilize and support you. It's a very simple technique, but it is incredibly grounding, because what you're doing is you're allowing your consciousness, you're allowing yourself to make that connection with the earth, to strengthen your connection with the energy beneath you. Because often we get caught in a circuit. Energy builds up around us. Our heads are just full of our thoughts, our worries, our fears. We become distracted by everything that's happening. We find it very difficult to stay centered. And particularly when there's a lot of fear around us within the media, within our worlds at this time, a lot of uncertainty, we can become quite unplugged and quite caught in our upper chakras in a way that is not beneficial to us. So by bringing those beautiful red gorgeous roots and imagining ourselves grounding them, growing them down into the earth, this can be an amazing way of stabilizing and securing ourselves back into. And what's really important, and yet like a broken record, I'm going to speak about meditation, but what's really important is to bring those beautiful deep breaths in with this. So you can do both. You can imagine gorgeous red light filling this area, and at the same time, as you breathe in, as you breathe out, those gorgeous red roots are growing from your pelvic area right down into the earth. And what some people find incredibly supportive is affirmations. So at the same time, if you find you're still struggling as you imagine this, I know there's a lot going on, but if you're really caught in trying to get out of your head and trying to get out back from your fears, to just affirm to yourself, I am grounded, centered, and I am safe. It's safe to be in my body. These are powerful words to affirm to yourself. And words are so incredible. I mean, they really are. What we need to be so mindful of how we speak to ourselves, how we address ourselves, because sometimes we can be very critical of ourselves, or we can go hard, and we're just affirming those words and whatever the meaning of those words are. So if you take time every day to affirm something nice, not only about grounding, but about yourself, this can be incredible. Now, as you know, I do work with the angels, and for those listeners that would be interested in working with a particular archangel in relation to being grounded, I would recommend a beautiful angel called Uriel, a beautiful archangel, often seen as a strong gold or ruby red light, and very much the energy of peace, but incredible if you were to invoke this angel by calling the angel's name 3 times. And don't worry, if this is something you're not drawn to, then just disregard it. But for those that would like to combine an angelic healing or energy or support with their grounding technique, to call in the Archangel Uriel beforehand, just 3 times. Give it a few seconds and then continue on to imagining those gorgeous red roots growing down, and to doing your affirmations or whatever you're doing, or just sitting quietly, taking big, slow, beautiful breaths, can be incredible. And for me, Uriel's incredible for reaffirming your boundaries. If you're feeling that maybe your fears are becoming in on top of you, other people's stuff, maybe you're becoming overwhelmed or just feeling very, very off kilter, that energy, that gorgeous radiance can be incredibly powerful. And also, I'll introduce the crystals.
And I was just going to say to you, because crystals are a huge part of the work that you do as well. And I think we should therefore talk about crystals and what crystals you might suggest that we would, if we were going to start working on our root chakra to try and get some grounding, because as I said at the start, I think it's something that we all really do need and we can all identify with these days particularly. Then let's talk about the crystals and how we can use them.
As you know, I love crystals, and each individual crystal radiates a certain frequency or vibration that we won't see with our physical eyes, but that those who are quite sensitive to energy will have a sense and awareness of, or feel calm when they pick up that crystal or when they work with it. And when you're working with crystals, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but if you ever purchase a crystal or are gifted a crystal, a good idea would be to do a little cleanse on them first, because they absorb energy. So to put them in a basin of warm water with quite a substantial dash of sea salt would be very, very good. Now, some crystals, just to Google first before you do this, it can actually break them up a little bit. So it's not good for them. But most of the tumble stones that I work with, like the ones I'm going to mention in a moment, would be grand. And the crystals I recommend for grounding is the red jasper. It's a red, there's many types of jasper. I'd be focusing on the red one.
This is going back to what you were saying earlier about, visualizing a lovely red color. So I guess
Yes.
the red jasper would very much tie in with that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a beautiful crystal to support groundingness, being grounded in your body. It's also very supportive if you require endurance or courage at this time for whatever's going on. It amplifies your life force energy, and it can help to strengthen and support you. So it's a very good crystal to carry or hold in your, like if you're going about your day, or if you're doing your meditation, or you just need a bit of endurance or support, having it in your pocket, just knowing that it's there. It can support emotional stamina as well. And if you want to visualize little beautiful tentacles of light coming from this crystal in your hand, or wherever some people will sit on it. So whatever you want to do, but wherever you decide to put it, imagining tentacles of light coming from the crystal up into your body and down into the earth, supporting the grounding process, can be incredible. And the other crystal I'll introduce you to is called a tiger's eye. For many reasons, I'll introduce it. It's a grounding crystal, but it's also very, very protective. By the way, as is the red jasper, it has a protective radiance off it, and it can help develop the intuitive ability. So it's a really powerful all-rounder. And it also helps you to stay centered, stay balanced, particularly if you're in a situation that's quite protracted, quite stressful. It can help with endurance as well. It's a gorgeous crystal. It's kind of like a goldeny browny crystal, but it's a lovely one. And once again, you'd use that in the same way as you'd use the red jasper, by holding it in your hand, or because we're working with the bottom of the spine, by sitting on it. Another crystal that would be very well known for grounding would be any black crystal, like the tourmaline, the obsidian, and they're very powerful, and they're also very, very protective. But sometimes I can find their energies a little bit strong. So I love working with the tiger's eye, but others, your listeners that work with them, may find that this is exactly what they need. And that's why I'm going to mention them there as well.
And when you say that, Debbie, I mean, for anybody listening who perhaps has never picked up a crystal or worked with a crystal, when you say that you find the energy very strong, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yes, well, I would be sensitive to energy. So when I pick up a crystal, or if I'm working with them, sometimes I'll be aware of feeling a little bit spacey. I might be aware of just feeling very, very, very centered in my body, like overly aware of my physical body. I could be hearing my heart beating, or just an awareness of a strong pulsing energy, or whatever way it comes in for that. And sometimes I just might find that particular crystal is just a little bit uncomfortable for me to work with. And that's what I would mean by strong. I wouldn't feel overly drawn to it. I wouldn't feel very comfortable holding it.
Right.
That can sometimes mean that the crystal needs to be cleared, or that you and the crystal are just not compatible with each other. And if that were the case, I would suggest that you don't continue to work with that particular crystal.
Okay, now back to the red jasper and the tiger's eye crystals. So this is something, Debbie, that you would recommend that we might do every day. Take some time out, perhaps with crystals, to meditate, to get closer to ourselves, to go a little bit inwards, and to focus on our root chakra in order to become more grounded, so that, well, the day, or at least we'll be able to deal with the day in a calmer and more positive and productive way, basically.
Exactly, absolutely. And you don't need to work with crystals or the Archangel or anything like that. If you just had a few moments where you wanted to center yourself, to visualize beautiful red roots of light going right down through you, knowing that these gorgeous roots were going to help you to feel strong, secure, to have courage and strength, to be grounded into your body. And it's a very, very powerful way to start your day, because often we hop out of bed first things in the morning, thinking of all the things that we have to do and all the things that might be feeling a little bit overwhelming or worrying or fearful. And we start running and our mind is gone and we're on high alert from the very moment we get up out of bed, whereby if you were to spend just 5 minutes before you get out of bed, sitting there, centering yourself, letting yourself be consciously present in your body, bringing your awareness down to the very bottom of your spine, visualizing a gorgeous red color, and choosing, if those who want to work with the angels, calling in Uriel to start the day, gorgeous. But don't worry if that doesn't draw you. Having your crystals in hand, fabulous, but don't worry if that doesn't draw you either. Try never to cross your legs when you're doing this. So always uncross your legs and arms when you're doing any kind of visualization in relation to grounding yourself, or anything else that we may do along the way would always be recommended, because you're crossing your energy channels. And don't forget your affirmation. I am grounded, centered, and safe. It's safe to be present in my body.
I love that. What a powerful affirmation. And as we said earlier on too, how powerful words can be. They have an energy all of their own. Debbie, thank you so much for that. Always a pleasure to have you on with us. And as we continue our journey through the chakras, when you're back next month, I guess we're going to go, well, we started with the root chakra at the base of the spine. So I guess we're going to go up to the next chakra.
Yeah, it's just 1.5 inches below your belly button. It's called the sacral chakra. It's the sacred part of the body. It's really, really positive. Our creative force is in this part of the body. For those of you that really want to begin to create, this is a very potent part of our bodies and of our lives. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Debbie, I just want to remind anyone who's listening as well, I know because I have done this myself with you, is you do have your weekly meditations that you do, and they're really, really so powerful.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Yes, they are every Tuesday, either morning or in the evening, 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. They alternate every week. I do an angelic meditation class, and there's 2 meditations. The first one is to release tension, fear, stress. There are angelic meditations. The second is a visualization to help and support the listener to align to their dreams, desires, and to let go of anything that needs to be released. And then we do a little bit of a distant healing, and I do a little guidance card reading at the end. So it's recorded. So if you don't get there live, you can listen in afterwards at your convenience.
Okay, and again, all the information about that is on your website as well, yes. Angelicconnections.ie, and Debbie's you're on Facebook too.
Thank you. Yes, I am indeed. I'm Debbie Boyle, Angelic Connections on Facebook.
Well, Debbie, look forward to chatting with you next month.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much, and take care. I'll chat to you soon.